Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Adult Game Reviews. You know the hardest part about being new to this genre or community? Everyone starts with the most popular games and they think it's all downhill from there.
Oh, it's all downhill from here, sir.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's not right.
While some of the most popular games are the best, I wouldn't say that's true for all of them. So this video is a little different. I will keep the info about each game brief, but not all these games are going to be exactly like the popular ones you played. Sometimes the only similarities will be the visuals, or sometimes it's the story, but it's important to listen to the little blurb about each game to know if it's something that you will like. Also, for all my backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, you get one extra game per category just as a thank you. So if you're interested in actually supporting me and my work, you can check me out over on Patreon and Subscribestar. Either way, thank you all. Oh, and just to make things a little easier for you if it's hard to choose, I'm going to do a giveaway, but more info on that later. So one game that I get asked about all the time, and that's, what's a game like Summertime Saga? Summertime Saga has been a powerhouse. It brought a lot of people into this type of gaming. However, the future for Summertime Saga is not very bright, in my opinion. So here are a couple of games that may scratch some of that itch left by Summertime Saga. The first is Another Chance by Time Wizard Studios. You play the loser that somehow goes back in time to try to do things differently the second time through. Each girl has their own plot line with some minimal overlap. Also, there's a sandbox element and some point and click elements as well. I personally love Another Chance, and while updates are frequent, they tend to be relatively small. So frequent but small updates, that's already better than Summertime Saga. You can play the last month's version for free without the X-ray feature, so it's perfect to try out and see if it's something that you may want to pay for in the future. As of right now, it's only available on Windows and Mac. The second game is Life in Woodchester by Dirty Sock Games, which I can't really show here. All the ladies are very skilled, if you know what I mean. I go over it a bit more in the Patreon version. Regardless, update 0.13.2 is a free over on itch, and it's available for Windows, Mac, and Android. So let's move on. What's a game like Leap of Faith? Okay, so you want something emotional like Leap of Faith. Well, I'm not sure there's anything like Leap of Faith, but here are a few that may make you feel something. The first is MBML by Nichan. You can check my link tree to get the full name if you're not sure. The biggest downside for MBML is the prologue has quite a few translation issues, except in the emotional scenes. Emma's story made me tear up each time. It is heavy. Not as heavy as Leap of Faith, but still pretty heavy. Once you get to the first chapter, the writing significantly improves. I personally love MBML, and it would be easily in one of my top favorite games if it wasn't for the writing early on, but still something worth playing. You can name your price over on itch, and it's available on Windows, Mac, and Android. What's another emotional game like Leap of Faith? Trouble at Home by Cool Kitty Rhymes. So I debated on keeping Trouble at Home on the list simply because it's still pretty early in development. You start out as a loser whose girlfriend just broke up with him. Many people find the MC hard to relate to early on, but that's kind of the point. By the end of chapter 3, he ends up pulling himself together, and he's a lot more relatable in my opinion. Chapter 3 touches on a lot of very heavy topics, and I couldn't help but feel for one of the girls in particular. Right now, it's only available on Windows and Mac. You can try it out over on itch for free, but that only covers chapters 1 and 2. To play a third chapter, you have to head over to Cool Kitty Rhymes Patreon. Okay, so let's move on. You want a game that's funny like Eternum? I know humor can be pretty subjective, but here's a couple of games you may like. The first is Project Passion, which is a must if you want something funny. Season 2 was just released on Steam. You can check that review down in the description. Now, I'm not going to say everyone's going to love this game. If you haven't played it though, you really should try it out. You can pick that up on Steam. The first 2 seasons are available, and Project Passion is one of the funniest out there in my opinion. The next funny game I have is Once in a Lifetime. This was Charybdis' first game, which is just like Eternum in style of humor, but it just doesn't look as good visually. This is still a must play for me. You can actually name your price over on itch or contribute to Charybdis' Patreon. You can play it on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android. Oh, and I personally think it's funnier than Eternum, but maybe that's just me. Moving on, you want something more relationship focused like Come Home? Come Home is unique because it has so much variety in the love interest, but without all the grind. There's really no way to fail any of the girls' story paths, so it's kind of a kinetic novel in that way. So finding a game exactly like that has been pretty hard. But if we lean into the many love interests, here's one you may want to try out, which is Lucky Paradox by Stalwart. This is a bit more sandboxy than Come Home, but there are a lot of girls and each has their own story to unlock. You can go to the shop and buy outfits and gifts for all the girls. The only downside is that can be a bit grindy, but I'm sure there are ways around that. You can download the latest chapter for free on Stalwart's itch page. You can play it on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android. Next, more relationship focused is A Foreign World by Highborn Tiger. I purchased this one over on Steam, a much more heavy story than some of these others. This is an isekai story, except in reverse. I think think the relationship building was top notch. So yes, there aren't as many girls in this one, and it's not as easy to build relationships as Come Home, but I found it still very satisfying to connect with the variety of girls and learn about each one. They are very different from each other, but all dealing with the same issue. But unlike Come Home, all the characters are female, but one to check out if you like fulfilling relationships. I will have my review of this one out in a few weeks. Before we get into the last category, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you all for watching. All right, moving on to the last category, and that's you want something more like BaD by Dr. Pancake? While there are a ton of college-themed VNs out there, many don't compare to BaD from a quality standpoint. While Come Home is unique for the variety of love interests, I think BaD is outstanding for the quality of love interests. So, you want some VNs with fantastic love interests? Well, try Ripples. It's so underrated and one of my favorite VNs out there. This has a sci-fi element, but think more Back to the Future than like Eternum. You can name your own price over on itch, and it's available on PC, Mac, and Android. The next one is Intertwined by Nyx. Intertwined is another college VN, but while the story is very different, there are a variety of love interests that you can't help but connect with. I have had many debates on who the best girl is in Intertwined. I've maybe had just as many debates about BaD. Chapter 13 was released in January, and right now it's only available on Nyx's Patreon. By the way, if you want a different kind of college-themed game, you can check out Best by Dolila. This also brings me to the giveaway. If you want a chance to win a copy of Best, here's how you enter. 1. You have to be 18 plus. 2. You have to have a Steam account and friend me over there on Steam. The link is in the description. And 3. Comment down below and add the hashtag BEST. The contest will run until June 11th, and the winners will be announced later in June. So hopefully this is a video that helps you find some games that aren't the most popular out there. You never know what you might like. If you guys like this type of video, let me know in the comments. Each time I do one of these videos, I will try to move from popular to more obscure. So let me know what types of games I should cover next. I want to thank all my backers on Patreon and Subscribestar. Also, if you haven't seen my video on I Was a Teenage Vampire, you can check that out right here. Thanks again. Until next time.